Welcome back to the Day's Adventure Podcast. I'm your host, David Visser, and today we're diving straight into the wild heart of Tarangire National Park, where our journey takes an electrifying turn. Now, last episode, we left off with James, our guide, grinning as he announced, "There's been a sighting, one of the big five." The excitement was truly instant, and now we're heading right towards what would be our very first encounter of one of Africa's legendary Big Five. There had been a sighting. The words leopard and fresh kill came through the crackling static, and without hesitation, James maneuvered the vehicle with precision. Excitement filled the air as we bounced along the dusty trail, our eyes scanning the treetops in anticipation. Now, it didn't take long before James slowed the vehicle, gesturing towards a dense cluster of thorny bushes. And there it was, perched high on a branch, a leopard stretched out with an antelope draped below. This was no ordinary moment. Seeing a leopard in the wild is an experience that stays with you. Known for their elusive nature, leopards are the most solitary of the Big Five, masters of stealth and camouflage. It was hard to believe that such a powerful predator could rest so calmly, its golden spotted coat blended seamlessly in the shadows of the trees around it. Leopards are extraordinary creatures, the epitome of stealth and power, capable of running at speeds up to 58 kilometers per hour and leaping 6 meters in a single bound. They are among the savanna's most efficient hunters. But what makes them truly remarkable is their skill as an ambush predator. A leopard can spend hours patiently perched on a tree branch, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. With a single calculated leap, they can bring down unsuspecting prey, such as an antelope or even a baboon, relying on their sheer strength and precision to secure that meal. They live solitary lives, marking their vast territories with claw marks on trees and scent trails, each marking a silent claim over the land. This particular leopard, like a shadow come to life, had an effortless confidence as it guarded its meal, its golden spotted coat blended seamlessly in the branches. Witnessing such a powerful predator in its natural environment was both humbling and awe-inspiring. We stayed for about 10 minutes, hoping to capture the perfect shot, but the thick underbush made it a challenge. Now, James worked hard to angle us for that golden shot, but moments like these are a reminder of the unpredictability of wildlife photography. It's not always about getting the perfect picture. Sometimes it's enough just to witness the scene, to let it etch itself into your memory. I'm going to remind aspiring photographers again, bring more memory cards than you think you'll need. Over the course of this safari, I shot over 5,000 photos in RAW format. Trust me, you'll never regret being over-prepared. As James expertly navigated over dry riverbeds and deep ruts in the dusty path, the savanna offered up more treasures. Just 5 minutes later, a pair of southern ground hornbills emerged from the tall grass, crossing the road with a slow, deliberate gait. These remarkable birds are impossible to miss. Their jet black feathers glistened in the sunlight, and their striking red facial markings and throats seemed to glow against the golden backdrop of the dry grasslands. Ground hornbills are fascinating creatures. They are the largest hornbills in Africa, standing over a meter tall with a wingspan that can reach up to 4 feet. Their sharp, curved beaks are as formidable as they look, designed for prying open tough insects, shells, and even small reptiles. Unlike other birds, ground hornbills are terrestrial, spending most of their time walking rather than flying. Watching them move was like seeing a piece of ancient Africa come to life. These incredible birds are also a symbol of resilience and rarity. Southern ground hornbills are long lived, with some individuals reaching up to 70 years in age. They are slow breeders, producing just one chick every few years, and only one chick from a brood typically survives. This makes every sighting of these birds a gift, a fleeting moment in the grand cycle of life on the savanna. To see them, even briefly, felt like a privilege. With every turn in the road, Tarangire seemed to offer another treasure, another glimpse into the intricate tapestry of life here. From the elegant giraffe, the stealth of the leopard, to the quiet dignity of the ground hornbills, this day was already shaping up to be unforgettable. And little did we know there was so much more to come. As we ventured deeper into Tarangire, the savanna seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting to reveal its secrets. That's when we spotted something extraordinary. A female lion and her cub only 200 meters from the road. The scene unfolded like a moment frozen in time. The lioness had just brought down a large warthog. Her flanks were still heaving as she recovered from the chase. Her eyes, sharp and watchful, darted between her surroundings, her cub, ensuring they were safe even as she caught her breath. Her cub, likely around a year old, eagerly tore into the underbelly of the warthog, its face already smeared with blood. The faint rosettes of youth were still visible on its golden coat. With the roof of the Jeep open, we had an unfiltered view of this raw and primal moment. The soft rustle of dry grass and the occasional ripping of warthog flesh were the only sounds accompanying this intense focus of this incredible predator family. We stayed in place, cameras clicking away, capturing every detail of this breathtaking encounter. The cub, with uncontainable energy, tugged and ripped at the meat, while the lioness remained a stoic sentinel. After some time, the mother approached her cub, nuzzling it gently before settling nearby to rest, her piercing gaze ever vigilant. The cub, belly full, sauntered into the shade of a nearby acacia tree, collapsing with the contentment of a successful meal. Lions are masters of survival, perfectly adapted to the unforgiving wilderness. Their ability to thrive in arid environments, deriving much of their hydration from their prey, is nothing short of remarkable. And their design is pure evolution at its finest. A lion's tongue lined with sharp rasps called papillae allow them to scrape every last morsel of meat from the bone. Watching the mother and cub in this intimate moment was both humbling and heart-stirring. It wasn't just a display of strength and survival. It was a vivid reminder of the balance that exists here, a balance between life and death, where every moment is earned and nothing is taken for granted. It's moments like these that take your breath away, that stay with you long after the safari ends. If you'd like to see this incredible scene, be sure to visit our YouTube channel, where you'll find videos and photos capturing the raw, untamed beauty of this encounter. And as we continue on, I couldn't help but think about the privilege of witnessing such a profound connection between a mother and her cub here in the heart of the wild. James, with his decades of experience and seemingly intimate connection with Tarangire National Park, led us away from the growing clusters of safari vehicles at the lioness and her cub. It was as if he had a sixth sense, for where the magic of the park would unfold next. Skillfully maneuvering the Jeep over rough terrain, we passed shimmering herds of zebra and impalas, their coats catching the late afternoon sun in a golden glow. The dust kicked up behind us as James expertly navigated the landscape, taking us farther and farther away from the crowd and deeper into the untouched beauty of Tarangire. Finally, James pulled the vehicle to a stop on a high bank overlooking the Tarangire River, or rather, what was left of it, a small creek running through its center, a mere shadow of what must have been a roaring, expansive river during the rainy season. The other bank, seemingly impossibly far away, at least a mile, and the dry riverbed stretched out before us like a canvas painted with life. It was a moment that words fail to fully capture, but I'll do my best to take you there. James parked in the shade of a wooded area, and as the Jeep came to a stop, the scene before us felt like something plucked out of the pages of National Geographic. Directly in front of us, two giraffes stood at the edge of the riverbed, engaged what can only be described as a playful courtship. A male and a female. Their movements were almost rhythmic, like a dance performed just for us. They rubbed against each other, entwined their long necks in a display of connection that felt both intimate and playful. It was like watching two graceful giants on a date, their every movement captivating. Further down the riverbed, 6 marabou stork stood together in the soft mud, their massive frames silhouetted against the warm light. These towering birds, often seen as symbols of scavengers, carried themselves with a surprising dignity. Known as the undertakers of the savanna due to their dark feathers, hunched posture, and skeletal appearance, marabou storks play a crucial role in the ecosystem by cleaning up carcasses and preventing the spread of disease. Standing up to 5 feet tall with wingspans that can exceed 10 feet, these birds are nothing short of majestic when seen in the wild. Despite their reputation, marabou storks are incredibly versatile, equipped not only to feed on carrion, but also to hunt smaller prey such as fish, frogs, and even small mammals when the opportunity arises. Watching them in this serene moment, their stillness almost felt deliberate, as if they were guardians of the riverbed, silently watching over the bustling life around them. Now, not far from them, a mother elephant and her calf slowly made their way across the sandy terrain. The calf, impossibly small in comparison to its towering mother, stayed glued to her side as she nudged it gently along, her maternal instincts on full display. It was one of those moments that truly kind of take your breath away. The sheer bond between them was beautiful. Then, to the left, we spotted a massive bull elephant across the way, scratching his colossal frame against the sheer cliff of the riverbank. And just when we thought this scene couldn't get any richer, the sandy riverbed seemed to come alive. At first, it looked as though the sand itself was moving, but with my long lens, I realized it was a troop of mongoose, dozens of them, darting about as they searched for insects and scorpions. The sight was mesmerizing, these tiny, industrious creatures scurrying along the vast riverbed, each one playing its part in the intricate dance of this ecosystem. And then, of course, there were the zebras, a herd grazing peacefully on the far bank, their striped coats creating a striking contrast against the golden sand. But no matter how much there was to see, our attention kept drifting back to the 2 giraffes. As they moved, oxpeckers perched atop their necks, enjoying the best seats in the house, casually plucking insects from their hosts. The giraffes didn't seem to mind, their gentle demeanor making the entire scene feel even more serene. We must have stayed there for nearly an hour, but it felt like only a few fleeting minutes. Time seemed to stand still in that spot, as though the world outside the park didn't exist. But eventually, we had to move on. There was still so much more to see before the late afternoon light gave way to the evening. As James started the engine and we reluctantly pulled away, I couldn't help feel a profound sense of gratitude. This wasn't just a safari. It was a window into the world that felt almost sacred, a world that reminded us how small we are in the grand scheme of things. As the daylight began to wane, James reminded us that the sunset in Tanzania comes quickly. Being so close to the equator, the sun sets promptly at 6:30, leaving us in total darkness by around 7 p.m. He expertly maneuvered the vehicle along the dusty path, eventually pulling into an open clearing where we stopped to watch a small herd of elephants with several young calves. It was a heartwarming scene. These calves, full of youthful energy, stumbled and bumped into each other in their clumsy yet endearing way. Their tiny trunks swung awkwardly as they attempted to mimic their mothers, grazing and pulling at grass and testing their surroundings with the curiosity only the young possess. The mothers moved with purpose, slowly grazing as they guided their little ones towards what James called their evening resting place. Seeing the elephants like this in their natural habitat was a privilege unlike anything I'd experienced. There was no enclosure, no barrier, just us, a respectful distance away, watching life as it was meant to be. It changes you, seeing these magnificent creatures living the life that they were meant for, free, intelligent, and deeply connected to their family units. It's a powerful reminder of the importance of preserving places like Tarangire, where elephants can roam as they have for a millennia. But as much as I wanted to linger, we had to move on. The herd was grazing with purpose, their silhouettes growing fainter as they disappeared into the bush, and James knew we had limited time before the sun dipped below the horizon. Just a short way down the road, we rounded a curve and stumbled upon another unexpected treat, a single water buck, grazing lazily among the dry, brittle grass. This solitary figure seemed completely at ease, unbothered by our presence, its thick, shaggy coat catching the last rays of the golden light. Water bucks are fascinating creatures. Their coats are slightly oily, an adaptation that allows them to repel water as they often live near rivers and wetlands. They're a striking animal. Their white ringed markings on their rumps make them stand out even in the dry savanna. Just as we were marveling at the water buck, out of the nearby bushes came an enormous male ostrich. Its jet black body feathers and bright pink neck were striking against the fading light. I had seen ostriches in zoos before, but seeing this one in the wild, strutting with an air of confidence, I finally grasped just how massive these birds really are. Standing at nearly 9 feet tall, they're a force to be reckoned with, capable of running at speeds of up to 70 kilometers an hour. And trust me, their size is nothing compared to their personality. We'll have a funny ostrich story to share in a later episode, but for now, this bird was just a bold and unforgettable presence in the dwindling light. With the sun slipping towards the horizon, the landscape around us transformed. Shadows stretched across the ground. The air cooled slightly, a signal that our time in Tarangire for the day was drawing to a close. But James had one more incredible spot to show us, and with his unmatched expertise, he knew exactly how to make every last moment of daylight count. As the day drew to a close, the sun began its descent, casting a warm golden light over the vast savanna. We found ourselves in the perfect spot, on a secluded hill surrounded by the towering silhouettes of the ancient baobab trees. their massive trunks gnarled and time-worn, stretched skyward like hands of giants, their branches bare and intricate against the glowing sky. James had chosen this spot with precision, and it felt as though we had stepped into a painting, a masterpiece crafted by nature herself. The horizon ignited with vibrant hues of orange, crimson, and deep gold, bleeding into the soft lavender edges of the encroaching night. The light danced across the landscape, bathing everything in an ethereal glow. I couldn't resist at first. I picked up my camera, snapping a few photos to try to capture the magic unfolding before me. The light filtered through the baobab branches, created a stunning composition, and for a brief moment, I was absorbed in the framing of a perfect shot. But then something compelled me to stop. I gently lowered my camera, realizing that no photograph, no matter how perfect, could truly encapsulate what I was seeing and feeling in that moment. The scene was alive with sound and stillness, a paradox only the African wilderness could create. The faint rustle of dry grass whispered through the air, carried by a gentle breeze that seemed to sigh with the passing day. Far off in the distance, a call of a bird punctuated the quiet, reminding us that even in this moment of serenity, life persisted all around us. As the sun dipped lower, its rays streaked through the baobab branches, creating a kaleidoscope of shadows and light. The trees stood like ancient sentinels, their roots deeply entwined in the history of the land, bearing silent witness to generations of life and death, survival and renewal. Sitting there without a barrier of a lens, I allowed myself to fully absorb the beauty around me. This wasn't just a sunset. It was a living, breathing testament to the raw splendor of the natural world. It was a moment that reminded me why I had come to Tanzania, why I had dreamed of this for so long. As the sun finally dipped behind the distant hills, the sky deepened into a velvety indigo, and the first stars began to blink into existence. The day had come full circle, leaving us with a memory that would forever be etched in our hearts. It was, in every sense, the perfect end to an extraordinary day, one I'll carry with me always. As the fiery hues of the sunset faded into the deep indigo night, James restarted the engine, breaking the comfortable silence that had settled over us. It was time to leave this magical spot and head to our base for the evening, the Sopa Lodge. The drive through the quiet, shadowy landscape felt almost meditative. The once bustling savanna seemed to exhale, settling into the calm of the night. Even the animals, so active during the day, appeared to retreat into the safety of the trees and tall grasses. The cool night air streamed through the open windows as we made our way down the winding dirt paths. Occasionally, the beams of our headlights caught the glowing eyes of a nocturnal creature, hidden in the bush, adding an air of mystery to the journey. When we finally arrived at the Sopa Lodge, it felt like a warm embrace after a long, exhilarating day. The lodge, perched on a hill and softly illuminated, radiated a sense of welcome and comfort. We stepped out of the Jeep, stretched our legs, and inhaling the crisp night air filled with the earthly aroma of the savanna. Inside, the cozy atmosphere of the lodge was a perfect contrast to the wildness of the day. After freshening up, we gathered in the dining area for a meal that far exceeded my expectations. The chefs had prepared a spread of fresh, locally sourced dishes, aromatic stews, perfectly grilled meats, and a vibrant array of fruits and vegetables. I savored each bite, washing it down with a glass of red wine that paired beautifully with the meal. The conversation around the table was lively, as we recounted the day's highlights and laughed over the smaller, funnier moments that had made the day totally unforgettable. By the time we made our way to our hut, exhaustion began to set in, the kind of satisfying tiredness that comes after a day of wonder and discovery. The sounds of the African night, crickets chirping, the distant sounds of zebra, and the eerie calls of hyenas lulled us into a deep, peaceful sleep. Under the thatched roof of our cozy hut, with the vastness of Tarangire just beyond the walls, I drifted off, feeling incredibly fortunate to be there. In our next episode, we'll dive deeper into Tarangire National Park, where more adventures await, from the towering baobab trees to unexpected encounters with the Big Five. The magic of this place continues to unfold. Thank you for being part of this journey. And as always, stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop chasing that next great adventure. The world is full of wonders, and your journey is just one episode away. That's it for this episode of The Day's Adventure. Remember, stay curious, stay engaged, and never stop chasing the next great adventure. The world is full of wonders, and your next journey is just one episode away. To keep the adventure alive, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video versions and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Want more? Hit subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you'll never miss the next thrilling episode. The world's waiting. See you next time on The Day's Adventure.